Globalization. I have kept the previous text exactly word for word as requested and appended the new high-value sections 12, 13, and 14, at the end. These additions cover deglobalization, a comparison with modernization, and the factors driving globalization, which are crucial for current pattern questions. Globalization, comprehensive UPSC sociology notes. 1. Introduction to globalization. Globalization is the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations. It is not just about trade, it is the compression of time and space. David Hassel. For definition, it is the process of integrating the national economy and society with the global economy and society. The shift from isolated nation states, right arrow, to a borderless world, Kenichi Omai. From local culture, right arrow, to global hybrid culture. Key idea. It involves the flow of four things across borders: goods, capital, people, and ideas. Means value add, keywords. Start your answer by distinguishing between globalism, the ideology, belief, and globalization, the actual process. You can also mention Roland Robertson's definition. Globalization refers to the compression of the world and the intensification of consciousness of the world as a whole. 2. Key thinkers on globalization. Thinker. Key concept. Book. What They Said About Globalization. Anthony Giddens. Renewé World. Globalization is a radicalizing force. It creates a world that no one fully controls. He calls it action at a distance. Events in Russia affect prices in India. George Ritzer. McDonaldization. The principles of the fast food restaurant, efficiency, calculability, predictability, control, are dominating global society. Roland Robertson. Localization. Globalization is not just one-way westernization. Global forces interact with local cultures to create something new. Global plus local equals glocal. Emmanuel Wallerstein. World systems theory. Globalization is just the expansion of capitalism. The core nations, rich, exploit the periphery nations, poor. Arjun Appadurai. Globalscapes. Globalization flows in 5 dimensions: ethnoscapes, people; technoscapes, tech; financescapes, money; mediascapes, images; and ideoscapes, ideas. Ulrich Beck. Risk society. Globalization creates new, global risks like climate change and pandemics that no single nation can solve. 3. Characteristics of globalization. Deterritorialization. Social life is no longer mapped to a specific physical location, e.g., working for a US company from a Bangalore bedroom. Interconnectedness. Events in one part of the world instantly affect others, e.g., COVID-19 starting in Wuhan and stopping the world. Speed. Instantaneous communication and rapid transport. Multidimensional. It is economic, trade, political, UN, WTO, and cultural, movies, food, all at once. Standardization. Use of common standards like English language, Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, and the US dollar. Migration. Massive movement of labor, legal and illegal, across borders. Rise of MNCs. Multinational corporations like Google, Amazon have more power than some small countries. Global consciousness. People begin to think of themselves as global citizens, e.g., worrying about the Amazon rainforest fires. Knowledge economy. Information becomes the most valuable commodity. Consumerism. A shared global culture of buying goods to define identity. 4. Impact of globalization, 10 points each. A. Economic impact. Liberalization, removal of trade barriers and tariffs. FDI, foreign direct investment, inflow of foreign money into local infrastructure and companies. Outsourcing, jobs moving from rich countries to developing countries, e.g., BPOs in India. Global supply chains, a single product, like an iPhone, is made with parts from 10 different countries. Inequality, the gap between the global north, rich, and global south, poor, often widens. Consumer choice, availability of global brands, Samsung, Nike, in local markets. Informalization, rise of the gig economy, Uber, Zomato, where job security is low. Brain drain, skilled professionals leaving developing nations for better pay abroad. Feminization of labor, more women entering the workforce, especially in export industries, garments, electronics. Dependency, developing nations become dependent on foreign technology and markets. B. Political impact. Erosion of sovereignty, the nation-state loses power to global bodies like the WTO, IMF, and World Bank. Global civil society, rise of international NGOs, Greenpeace, Amnesty, that pressure governments. Human rights, Global standards of human rights challenge local authoritarian regimes. Transnational terrorism. Terror groups also globalize, operating across borders, e.g., ISIS. Soft power. Influence spreads through culture, Bollywood, Hollywood, rather than military force. Environmental politics. Global treaties, Paris Agreement, dictate national environmental policies. Democratization. Spread of democratic ideals to authoritarian regions, e.g., Arab Spring. Neo-colonialism. Powerful nations use economics to control weaker nations indirectly. Border disputes. Conflicts over migration and refugees become central political issues. Global governance. Increasing need for global cooperation on pandemics and climate. C. Social and cultural impact. Crucial for sociology. Cultural homogenization. The world becoming the same, e.g., everyone wearing jeans and drinking Coke. Cultural hybridization. Mixing of cultures, e.g., English, remix music, chicken tikka pizza. Changing family. Rise of transnational families, parents in India, kids in the US, communicating via Zoom. Westernization of values, spread of individualism, dating culture, and nuclear families. Religious revivalism. As a reaction to globalization, people cling tighter to their local religion, fundamentalism. McDonaldization. Society becomes focused on efficiency and speed, losing the personal touch. Language loss. English dominance kills local dialects and languages. Consumerist identity. I shop, therefore I am. Status is defined by global brands. Gender roles. Exposure to global media challenges traditional patriarchy, Me Too movement. Commodification of culture. Traditional arts, yoga, Ayurveda, are packaged and sold as products. 5. Social constraints and concerns regarding globalization. This answers concerns about social cultural impact. Loss of local identity. Small cultures fear being swallowed by the dominant Western culture. Growing inequality. The benefits of globalization are cornered by the urban elite. The rural poor are often left behind. Fundamentalism. The rapid change causes anxiety, leading people to join extremist groups for a sense of security. Environmental degradation. Global demand leads to overexploitation of local resources, mining, deforestation. Social alienation. People feel disconnected from their local community in the race to be global. Spread of diseases. Global travel makes pandemics, like COVID-19, spread instantly. Exploitation of labor. MNCs often use sweatshops in poor countries with low wages and poor safety. Digital divide. Those without internet access are completely cut off from the benefits of the global world. Cultural imperialism. The imposition of Western morals and lifestyle on the East. Family breakdown. Migration separates families, leaving the elderly alone in villages. Main's value add concept. Use the term the global village, Marshall McLuhan. While the world has become a village in terms of connection, it is a village with huge slums, inequality, and gated communities, elites. 6. Globalization and Indian society, contextual changes, a impact on Indian caste. Secularization of caste. In MNC offices, caste rules of purity, pollution cannot be followed. Dalit capitalism. Globalization has opened market opportunities for Dalits, e.g., DICCI, Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce. Internationalization of caste. Caste discrimination has traveled to the US, UK, e.g., caste lawsuits in Silicon Valley. B. Impact on Indian women. Economic independence. BPO and IT sectors provided massive employment for women. Dual burden. Women work global shifts, night shifts, but still face traditional expectations at home. Commoditization. Global media often portrays women as objects of desire, beauty pageants, fashion, clashing with traditional modesty. C. Impact on Indian agriculture. Cash crops. Farmers shift from food crops to export crops, coffee, flowers, risking food security. Volatility. Indian farmers are exposed to global price fluctuations, e.g., a crash in global cotton prices causes suicides in Vidarbha. Corporate farming. Entry of global giants, PepsiCo, Walmart, into Indian farming. 7. Specific Indian thinkers on globalization. A. Amartya Sen view. He supports globalization but criticizes how its fruits are distributed. Argument. Globalization is not a Western curse. India has always been global, exporting ideas, math. The problem is not too much globalization, but too little sharing of its benefits. Focus. We need capacity building, education, health, so the poor can participate in globalization. B. Vandana Shiva. View, strong critic of globalization, eco-feminist perspective. Argument. She calls it corporate globalization. She argues it destroys biodiversity, monoculture, and steals the rights of local farmers, biopiracy. Concept: monocultures of the mind. Globalization destroys diversity in nature and culture. C. Deepankar Gupta. View: globalization has created a superficial middle class in India. Argument: the Indian middle class loves global goods, consumerism, but lacks global values, civic sense, equality. 8. Conclusion: globalization is a double-edged sword. Summary: it has brought economic growth, technology, and individual freedom to India. However, it has also brought inequality, cultural anxiety, and environmental risks. Synthesis: as Roland Robertson suggests with globalization, India is not passively accepting global trends. It is actively reshaping them, e.g., yoga going global, Mekalu Tikki in India. Final thought: the challenge for India is to manage globalization so that it uplifts the bottom of the pyramid, C.K. Prahlad, without erasing India's unique cultural fabric. 9. Globalization, global plus local, definition: the adaptation of global products to fit local needs. Indian examples: food, McDonald's removing beef, pork in India, Domino's serving paneer makhani pizza. Media, Indian Idol, global format, Indian content, Netflix making sacred games. Language, English, mixing Hindi and English in advertising. 10. Globalization versus westernization, distinction, feature. Westernization, globalization. Origin: specifically Western Europe, North America. Multi-centered, China, India, Brazil also contribute. Flow: one way, west, right arrow rest. Multi-directional, east, right arrow west, e.g., yoga, Ayurveda. Focus: cultural imitation, clothing, manners. Economic and technological integration. Outcome: often loss of local culture. Often leads to hybrid culture, globalization. 11. The digital divide in globalization. Concept: the gap between those who can access the global digital network and those who cannot. India context: India 1. Urban, English speaking, smartphone using, globally connected. India 2. Rural, vernacular speaking, struggling with basic connectivity. Sociological implication: globalization is creating a dual society within India. New extra additions, score boosters. 12. Emerging trend, deglobalization or slowbalization. Context: in the last few years, especially post-COVID-19, the speed of globalization has slowed down. Reasons: trade wars, tariffs between USA and China. Protectionism, Make in India or America First policies, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Supply chain fragility. Pandemic showed that relying on other countries for medicine, chips is risky. Sociological impact, a return to nationalism and stronger borders. 13. Comparison, modernization versus globalization. Useful if asked to distinguish between the two. Feature: modernization, globalization. Scope: happens inside a society, internal change. Happens between societies, external linkage. Focus: shift from tradition to rationality, industry. Shift from isolation to interdependence, integration. Key agent: state, education, industry. MNCs, internet, trade treaties. Timeline: started around 18th century, industrial revolution. Accelerated in late 20th century, internet, digital age. 14. Factors facilitating globalization. If asked, why now? Use these points: technology, internet, fiber optics, jet planes, reduced transport costs. LPG policy, 1991, liberalization, privatization, globalization reforms in India opened the doors. WTO and IMF, international organizations forcing countries to lower trade barriers. Collapse of communism, 1991, end of Cold War meant capitalism could spread to the whole world.